The Gabby Petito case. Now, at the time that this happened, I was following this case very, very closely because it happened really close to home, right? At the time that this happened, I was in Colorado and this happened in Wyoming. And Gabby Petito was traveling around Utah, California, right? Really doing a blog or a vlog, I should say, a vlog of her traveling and just exploring the outdoors with her boyfriend at the time, Brian Laundrie, who ended up murdering her. And so we're going to be watching the body cam footage of when they were pulled over. And I will say, right, I think that many of us in this community, we have a kinship with Gabby as well, with Shanann and with a lot of the victims that we analyze on the channel. This one hits specifically close to home, and this is because of my sister. Right, my sister was in a relationship with a very abusive guy, but he pretended to be someone else in front of the family, and he fooled even me, right? He fooled everyone in the family, and he displayed himself as this very loving, charismatic, easygoing guy, but behind closed doors, he was an absolute monster, and he was psychologically, mentally, verbally, and even at times physically abusing my sister. And as you guys know, I was also in the military, and in the military, a lot of this was actually very common. It was pretty common in the military to see the military side with perpetrators and not really see the victims as victims. And so it does really hit close to home. And so I do want to talk about it, and I want to watch this with you all and really just go down the issue. The main issue here is that the police had an opportunity to separate the two, and they didn't because they viewed the actual perpetrator as the victim because they didn't see the clear signs of abuse. And it's very subtle. It can be verbal or psychological, but they didn't see the signs of abuse. And of course, we're going to find out why, right? Why did they not see the signs of abuse? And we're going to get into why it's just such a problem in our society today that we don't protect victims because we don't really view them as victims. So, yeah, without any further ado, let's go ahead and get into this video. Okay, and there's no sound right now in the very beginning, I don't think.
Driver is showing some obscure driving, possibly intoxicated. Currently doing 45 miles an hour. Zone through here is 25. Oh! Subject just hit the curb. Correction, speed limit is 15. I'm about 3/4 of a mile into the arches, just before the gate. You want to place your vehicle into park and go ahead and turn it off for me?
Yeah, sure.
No, park.
Oh, it isn't.
Yeah, so this is definitely a classic case, right? For the person in the chat, right? We have someone in the chat who doesn't understand the complexities, right? The complexities of DV when we talk about victims of domestic abuse. The complexities really come from not really just seeing what happened, right? Here we have the comment that says law enforcement has never considered Gabby the victim in Moab. A subsequent investigation also concluded that she was the aggressor, right? But again, right, this is why we're watching this video. This is why we're talking about this case. It's because of the complexities of the abuse here. A lot of people see this case and they see that Brian Laundrie had something on his face, right? But completely ignore that she also had a huge grab, right? Someone had grabbed her from the arm and she had a huge handprint on her arm. And again, this is a very classic case of people who don't understand the complexities of domestic violence. You see Brian Laundrie with something on his face, and you automatically think that he is the victim in the case. Well, when you see both of them in the car together, and you see that she is the one who is distraught and has a huge mark on her arm, that gives you the indication that she is the victim of DV. She is the one really in this position who is the distraught one. And when you have cases like these, right, especially cases where there is a lot of psychological abuse, including gaslighting, that this is where the perpetrators drive their victims so absolutely insane with the gaslighting and the psychological and the verbal abuse that they end up reacting, okay? And this is exactly what we see here. The level of abuse that Brian Laundrie was perpetrating on Gabby was so intense that any time that she reacted with that same intensity. And so this is what we see here. There is complexities when it comes to this. It's not as black and white as, oh, she hit me, and so I'm the victim. No, that is not how this works. And so this is what we're here talking about it for people like the person in our chat who doesn't really seem to understand what a victim is, right? So this is what this channel, or sorry, this is what this video is for people like this person in the chat that doesn't understand the complexities of domestic abuse. So, I mean, yeah, if they want to stay here, go ahead and let them stay. I don't want to, the thing is, I don't want to block because they need to hear this, right? I think part of it is understanding, right? So when you block these people and you just don't listen to them, then there's really no way to get through to them. And so I'd rather have them, right, if they want to listen to the complexities of DV. We're going to get into it, right? And so they can go ahead and make comments, but the thing is, right, there is no victim blaming on this channel. But when there is very little understanding of what a victim is, I do want to get that person to at least hear, right? At least listen to what is being said, if that makes any sense. Yes. Yeah, unless they if they get very disrespectful, I mean, that is an obvious, like, okay, let's go ahead and get this person out. There's disrespect. But when it comes to this type of debate, I do want this to happen, right? Because this is the debate that we want to have to get people to understand what this is. All right, let's continue. And thank you so much, guys. Guys, I love you guys so much. Thank you all so much. Thank you, Tammy. Thanks, Tammy. Yeah, I guess, yeah, we got our moderators here. Yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate you all. All right, let's continue.
Okay, turn off your engine. Go ahead and set your keys on the dash for me, all right? What's your guys' names?
Gabby.
I'm Brian.
Gabby, Brian? Okay. What's going on? How come you're crying?
I'm just sorry. We've just been fighting this morning. Some personal issues.
It was a long day. We were camping yesterday, and camping got the stuff, flies and stuff. I'm sorry I hit the bump there.
I was distracting him from driving. I'm sorry.
Can I get you to step out of the vehicle for me, man?
Yeah.
Just hang tight right there. Do you mind if I take your keys and just put them on your hood?
You got it, buddy. I'm so
Thank
sorry.
you. Oh, no, you're fine. I'm going to go ahead and close your door, okay? Why don't you come over here? SO229. I have the female that was on the passenger seat separated from the male. Keys are on the hood. You want to tell me what's going on?
Yeah, I don't know. It's just some days I have really bad OCD, and
Okay.
I was just cleaning and straightening up the back of the van before, and I was apologizing to him and saying, I'm sorry that I'm so mean, because sometimes I have OCD and sometimes I just get really frustrated. Not like mean towards him. I just like, I guess my vibe is like I hear him be like in a bad mood. And I was just saying, I'm sorry if I'm in a bad mood. I've just been really stressed. I had so much work I was doing on my computer this morning.
What do you do for a living?
All right. So right off the bat, right? Who do we see asking for forgiveness, and who is apologizing, and who is really blaming themselves? Gabby. We see that she is distraught. She is crying. She's explaining to the officer that she has OCD, that she is stressed, right? And she is the one saying, oh, it's just, I am this way, I am that way, right? This is a very, very classic tell that she is a victim of some type of abuse. Someone who constantly is asking for in this way, right, in this manner, saying, oh, I'm sorry, it's just that I react, and being very, very distressed in the way that she is showing us a sign that she is in a toxic relationship, right? This is one of the very first signs that this relationship is not healthy whatsoever. And right off the bat, right, they're already asking her questions, and look at the way that she's behaving, right? Again, do we know yet, right? At this point, she's distraught and the police officer's trying to get information from her, but just notice her vibe, right? Notice her body language. She is obviously distressed.
Well, I used to work at an all-organic juice bar, but I just quit my job.
Okay.
I was a nutritionist. That's
Oh,
what
okay.
that was my
That's
job.
cool.
And I just quit my job to travel across the country, and I'm trying to start a blog. I just
Okay.
have a blog and stuff. So I've been building my website. So I've just been really stressed, and he doesn't really believe that I could do any of it. So that's kind of been like I don't know. He's like down there. I don't know. We've just been fighting all morning, and he.
Do you notice what she said there? He doesn't really believe I can do it. He doesn't really believe I can do it, she says. What does that mean? Right? Her saying he doesn't believe I can do it. I'm trying to start this blog thing, right? So it sounds like she has this goal in mind. She has a project that she's really passionate about and she really wants to do it. And what she's saying here is that he doesn't believe in her. And she also says, oh, he's just, and then she cuts herself off and says, we've just kind of been fighting the whole morning, right? Notice the way that she's censoring herself, right? In this specific case, it seems that she is censoring herself because she doesn't want to get her boyfriend in trouble, right? She's censoring herself because she doesn't want to let the police know to what extent they actually fight, to what extent their relationship gets really, really heated and toxic. And so that type of self-censoring is mostly because she is afraid of getting him in trouble, which is a classic case of gaslighting. When someone is abused in this way, the perpetrator constantly blames the victim, and it becomes so severe that the victim starts to believe it. They start to believe that they are the problem, that maybe they wouldn't be fighting if she wasn't so passionate about her vlog. This is exactly what happens in these types of toxic, gaslighting types of relationships, right? And I will, like I said, it's very, very close to home because my own sister was a victim of a man like this guy, like Brian Laundrie. Brian Laundrie is the kind of guy that gaslit Gabby the entire relationship because he was an incredibly insecure person, in my opinion. Very, very similar to my sister's ex. Okay. My sister's ex, I will say his name because I don't care and whatever. His name is Eric. My sister's ex, crazy guy. Okay. He also, the thing is, he had he displayed as a very charismatic and caring guy, right? He's so charismatic. Oh, he's so funny. That was one of the things with this guy, Eric, that he was so funny, charismatic, and he pretended to be this incredible guy. But behind closed doors, he was an absolute monster. I myself couldn't even see the monster that he was until it was too late. This guy, okay, this guy would even abuse my sister right next to us, right next to me in a tent, and I didn't even know. I didn't even know that when we went to Utah, which is so crazy because this also happened in Utah, right? This case happened in Utah. I didn't know that one time when we went to we went hiking and camping in Utah at Zion National Park, and it was my brother, my sister, my and the boyfriend, and we camped out. My sister was literally in the tent next to me. We slept there all night. And I come to find out years later, after she broke up with him, after the relationship was over, that that night he ended up kicking her out of the tent right next to us. And he ended up shaking her violently and literally using his legs, his feet, to kick her out of the tent. My sister slept outside the whole night, and I didn't even know. I was sleeping in the next tent, believing that this guy loved my sister so much and that he's caring for her. Oh, he's so great. He's so charismatic. He's so funny. Oh, he's so generous. Look at all the things that he brings us. Look at how generous the guy is. And I had no clue that the whole time he was abusing my sister. No clue. I had no idea that he would gaslight her and that he was turning my sister against me, using me as a negative person, right? Using me as as trying to get him to not see me as someone that she can go to or someone that she can look up to, but making me a bad guy. He was really making me the enemy and started to turn my sister against me. Again, all without my knowing. And all of this I end up finding out years later. And the only reason I found out was because my sister was dating another guy at the time. She was also complaining about him as well, how he was also really crazy. And then I said, well, why don't you just, have you tried, talking to Eric? Like, you guys were so good together, right? Me thinking this, again, I had no idea. I had no clue. I am over here thinking Eric was such a great guy. Why did you guys break up? And then she tells me, no, I would never go back to him. And then I turn and I look at her and I'm like, hold on, wait, what? Why? Like, wasn't he so good to you? Wasn't he like super nice? And like, he's like, awesome. And she says, you have no idea. We were at sushi, okay? We were at sushi, and my sister starts telling me everything that he did to her. When I tell you that I was shocked, and when I tell you how I felt as an older sister and as a failure, I mean, guys, when I tell you that I felt uh, powerless. Now, as an older sister, at the time, I was in the Marine Corps and I did threaten the guy that if he ever hurt my sister, I would come after him. And that was it. That was the only thing I ever said to him. And this was prior to me knowing that he was an absolute monster. And so that was really the only thing I told him. I'm like, hey, if you ever hurt my sister, I'm going to come after you, right? As a joke. And he's like, oh. Well, he started hating me from then on, apparently, is what my sister tells me later. She's like, yeah, he hated you from the moment that you told him that. And then from then on, he just started talking shit about you every single day to me behind your back. And at the same time, he looked at me in my face and told me that I'm just the best sister-in-law that he has ever had. The whole time he was turning my sister against me. She was telling her that, me being in the military, that I am a parasite, that I'm this and that I'm evil, that I joined the military because I like to murder people overseas. I mean, all kinds of ridiculous things that my sister then started to believe. And Eric then started to pull my sister away from me and started to really separate her from the family. My sister started to believing a lot of these things, and that's why she stopped trusting me, and she wouldn't tell me. And part of it was because she was also afraid of how he would react. And he would shake her so violently that he would leave the same marks that Gabby ended up with here in this video. And when I tell you, guys, right, that this is the type of abuse that we don't notice because the man, right, in this case, he was so good at pretending to be a good guy. They wear a mask. It is a facade, similar to what we see with Chris Watts, with everyone, right? Basically, many of the people that we've watched on this channel, they wear a mask. And behind closed doors, they are monsters. They are absolutely abusive and just gross. And I will say, I did feel like a failure by not seeing that my sister was being abused. I didn't know it at the time. And in retrospect, after she told me the story and all of the numerous and countless evil things that he did to her, in retrospect, I start to think back and it started to make sense. I'm like, oh, holy shit. You know, that thing actually makes sense now. That one time that we went to the snow and you were crying, why were you crying, right? And Eric, the whole time, he's just laughing. He's like, oh my God. While my sister's in the back crying and she's locking herself up in the bathroom and everyone, the whole family, mom, dad, brother, sister, me, and, this guy, Eric, all of us are having a blast. But my sister is locked up in the bathroom crying. Why? We're all wondering, what's wrong with her? Why isn't she out here having fun with us? That's because he was treating her like shit. And none of us knew. None of us. So anyway, that's just something that I wanted to talk about because these are the signs that we don't catch, okay? And in this case, the police, they are supposed to be trained to catch a lot of these things, but it's really hard for them to catch things when they themselves, right? When they themselves are abusers, okay? When the officers themselves are domestic abusers, they're not going to see any of it. They're going to definitely side with the perpetrator. Why wouldn't they? Right? And if you look at it, right, Utah cop who responded to Gabby Petito domestic violence call, now a detective. So this officer who was there and responded, he was the senior officer, was also charged with domestic violence himself. Yeah. So of course he's not going to catch it. Why would he not catch it? In this case, it's not that he just didn't realize that, oh, he's really not the victim. It's that he himself likes to engage in this type of behavior, right? And so, of course, someone who is an abuser himself is not going to side with the victim. And this is where we're going to get into it, okay? Because I think one thing is so that we can all learn the signs of what a victim is displaying, right? I myself learned the hard way and started to connect the dots after the fact. And so we're going to be doing this today with Gabby. And as a way so that we can learn all together, learn the complexities of DV and be able to learn ourselves what is the best way to see when somebody is distraught and ask the question that we should all be asking. Do you feel safe with this person? That is the question that everyone should ask. Do you feel safe with him? Are you safe? No matter what, even if they aren't crying, even if they're displaying all kinds of happiness, it is never a bad idea to ask your loved one if they feel safe with their partner. It's never a wrong thing to ask. Let's continue.
He wouldn't let me in the car before. And then
Why wouldn't he let you in the car? Because of
told me
your
I
OCD?
told me I needed to calm down. Yeah. But I'm perfectly calm. I'm calm all the time. And he really stresses me out. And this is a rough morning.
Well, Why don't we do this? Why don't I sit you down in the back seat of my car? You're not in any trouble, okay? I'm not going to be putting handcuffs on you. You obviously don't have any weapons. I'm going to get you into the air conditioning, let you take a breath, relax a little bit, and then I'll come back and talk to you in a few minutes, okay?
Okay.
Alrighty. Like I said, you're not in any trouble. So just go ahead and take a seat. Watch your feet.
Gabrielle, you talked to my fiance, right?
What's that?
You talked to Gabrielle, right?
Yeah, I just spoke to her.
Yeah.
So, you want to do me a favor? Let's go ahead and get you to step out of the vehicle, alrighty? Come on over here. You're not in any trouble right now. So, tell me what's going on.
But she just gets worked up sometimes, and I try and really distance myself from her. So like I locked the car and I walked away from her. What happened this morning is that she's trying to start up like her own little website blog and everything. So I give her time.
Here we go, right? Here we go. The wolf in sheep's clothing, right? Now, for the person who was in our chat earlier, maybe they left already because they didn't like to get called out, right? This is what these people will look at, right? They look at his face and they see that he has a mark and immediately call him the victim, right? Because it's visual, right? It's something that you can see. They're like, "Oh, he's obviously the victim. It's very black and white, very clear cut. Boom. Send her to jail. He's the victim, right?" But this is what the things that we miss here. Notice how he's all charismatic, he's charming. He comes out and he's just like, "Yeah, well, the thing is that she's trying to start this little, right? This little vlog of hers," is what he says. This little vlog. Even the way that he talks about her passion, right? This is a vlog that she started because it's something that she wanted to do. She started an Instagram and even a YouTube channel documenting her passion, traveling the world, right? Or in this case, she was traveling the United States, traveling the US to go camping, to check out the outdoors. And he is already calling it a little vlog. "Oh, she's trying to start this stupid little thing," is basically what he's doing. He's already minimizing, right? Or downplaying her passions. He's already disrespecting the things that she wants to do. And he is in it, right? He's doing it with her. But very, very clear, he's already talking down to her because of the things that she's trying to do. This is what we see when it comes to charismatic abusers, right? Just listen to how he's saying it, and then notice how he's like laughy and giggly, and he's trying to be so charming and funny. This is how they are able to fool people. But behind closed doors, they are monsters. Let's continue.
And we really had a nice morning, if anything, but she just got worked up because we were trying to get going and get our day going because we want to go like arches before this other time.
Okay. You want to tell me about those scratches on your face?
She had a cell phone in her hand. That's why I was pushing her away, because she wanted I locked the keys so I could walk away. I said, "Let's just take a breather and let's not go anywhere. Let's just calm down for a minute," because she was getting really worked up. And then she had her phone and was trying to get the keys from me, so I got in the way. I was just trying to. I know I shouldn't push, but I was just trying to push her away to go. Let's just take a minute, step back, and breathe. And she got me with her phone.
Can I see your hand? Oh, you got a mark right here.
All right, notice what he said right here, right? He even said, "Oh yeah, I like pushed her away. I know I shouldn't pushed her, but I pushed her away, and then she got me," is what he says. So in this instance, right, let's just go ahead and listen to it again, because you have to really listen. You have to listen to what he's saying, and then listen to the order in which he says it, and then read between the lines, right? It sounds like he was fighting with her, right? They were fighting over the morning, over perhaps maybe something that she wanted to do with her vlog. He's not happy with it. He doesn't really believe in her. He is definitely a manipulative piece of shit who wanted to just keep her for himself. And so because of it, he wanted to control every aspect of her life. And he wanted to basically break her. He really wanted to make sure that she didn't believe in herself. This is what these types of abusive monsters do. They want complete control over their victim because they're so absolutely insecure of themselves that they will believe that if she actually gains success, she will see how much of a piece of shit he is and how much of a loser he is, and she will leave him. That is what happens in these cases. That's what happened in this case, in my opinion. And again, just based on the evidence, is that he was so incredibly insecure about himself that he wanted to basically break Gabby down to the point where she also didn't believe in herself. And this is what they do. They find people and they want to dim their light. This is a classic case of a narcissistic abuser. And again, let's just go ahead and listen, right? And he goes ahead and admits that he's the one who pushed her, which then, right, he's like, I pushed her. I know I shouldn't push her, but I did. And then she got me, which means here he just admitted that he pushed her first. He put his hands on her first, which made her react and got him in the face with the phone. Now, the police officer didn't hear this. They only see the mark on his stupid face and automatically say, oh, you're the victim. Let's continue.
Where you going? Because you want to go like arches before the sun goes down.
You want to tell me about those scratches on your face?
She had a cell phone in her hand. That's why I was pushing her away. Because she wanted I locked the keys so I could walk.
Notice what he said. She had her cell phone in her hand. That is why I was pushing her away. What does that mean? She had her cell phone in her hand and that's why you were pushing her away? Why do you have to push her just because she has a cell phone in her hand, right? He didn't say, oh, she was hitting me with the cell phone. He said, no, she had a cell phone in her hand and I was just pushing her away. Now, what does that sound like? What does that sound like? Like, again, we don't know, right? We can only speculate on what was going on in the van, but if she's already worked up, if she has OCD, right? She's saying that she has OCD, she's working on her vlog. She might need time, right? She needs time to complete something or upload something. And it does sound like in this case, Brian is just not having it. He's like, oh my God, you and your stupid little vlog, hurry up. I don't know. Again, just my opinion, but this is just what I see might have happened in this in the van and why they were fighting in the way that they were. But again, this is because, right? This is because Brian himself was causing a lot of this psychological abuse that made her react in this way. And notice that he said, I put my hands on her. I pushed her first. Let's continue.
Walk away. I said, let's just take a breather and let's not, go anywhere. Let's just calm down for a minute because she was getting really worked up. And then she had her phone and was trying to get the keys from me, so I got in the way. I was just trying to, I know I shouldn't push, but I was just trying to push her away to go, let's just take a minute, step back and breathe. And she got me with her phone.
Can I see your hand? Oh, you got a mark right here.
Oh, that's from a wire.
That's from a wire?
Yeah.
All right. So he said, yeah, that's when she got me. But that was only after he admitted to pushing her away because she had her phone and she wanted to get the keys. What does that sound like, guys? You guys let me know. What does that sound like? She had her phone and she was trying to get the keys from him. Now, let's remember, this is her van, right? This is her van. She bought this van herself. It's her van. She owns it. She's the owner. Those are her keys. That is her phone. And those were her keys that she was trying to take from him. And he's saying, oh, I'm just pushing her because I don't want her to take her phone and her keys from me. What does that sound like? It sounds like she's trying to get away from him. She was trying to get away from this abusive piece of crap. And then he was trying to push her away. Yet, right, as we're going to see, there's going to be a police officer who's going to come in and say, you're the victim. But listen to this officer, though. I will say, right, I will give credit where credit is due. The officer that we are watching right now, right, which, ends up being the same guy, He will say at first he notices the hands and he's like, "Oh, okay, let me see your hands." And then he says something snarky almost, right? But then notice that the energy shifts.
You want to tell me about hitting that curb?
Hitting the curb was her grabbing the wheel.
She grabbed the wheel.
Yeah. She said, "I can't believe we're getting pulled over," and then she grabbed the wheel.
What about the speed? Did she take over Did
No,
she
I
take over
thought
the pedal on you?
if I was going fast, I'm sorry. No, it's probably just the moment of I'm still shaking now. The adrenaline, seeing the lights flashing up, and then her gripping the wheel. So if I sped up, I'm sorry about that. Or if I was speeding beforehand, I'm sorry about that.
If I was speeding before that, I'm sorry about that. Or if I went over here, I'm sorry about that. Notice how he starts just immediately apologizing, right? Very, very similar to the people that like to steal content and they're like, "I'm so sorry." Right? It's only when they get caught that they start asking for forgiveness. But yeah, back to what the police officer said, right? He's at first he's like, "Okay, so the reason you went into the curb is because she grabbed your steering wheel, all right?" And then he's like, "Well, what about the speeding? Are you telling me that she put her foot in on the pedal too? Is that what you're saying?" And this is because Brian is blaming everything on Gabby. Notice, right? She wanted the phone, she wanted the keys, so I had to push her away. Oh, the reason I went over into the curb is because she grabbed the wheel. Oh, the reason I'm speeding is because she must have put her foot on there, right? So again, the officer is clearly noticing that he's blaming everything on Gabby. And then he asked for the hand, and my thought is probably because he wanted to see if he had punched something, but then the energy shifts very, very quickly. As soon as the man, right, this guy starts to apologize and starts saying, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry about that, right? I'm so sorry about that." This is classic narcissistic and charismatic behavior that we see from abusers. Let's continue.
Yeah, it took quite a bit to catch up to you. So, yeah.
I'm sorry about that. We're just going into the park again to get water because we have a 6-gallon water container to fill up. So we're just grabbing water for the hike.
Okay.
And I was trying to keep everything calm and quiet because there's plans still to go for a hike. But then she goes, I'm really sorry about that.
Of course, of course. Do me a favor. You want to go ahead and just take a seat right over here on the curb for me?
And if I was speeding, I'm sorry. I want to apologize.
You don't have anything in that pocket or anything like that, do you?
Nope.
Just the wallet? All right. And then, do you mind lifting your shirt so I can check your waistband? Turn around for me real quick. Perfect.
Nothing.
I just want to make sure. That's all, man. Go ahead, do me a favor, take a seat, all right? Oh, do you have your ID on you?
In the car, if you want to come with me.
No, we'll just do this. Just go ahead and take a seat.
You come with me, I'll give it to you.
No, you're fine. What's your first name?
Brian?
Brian? Is that layman spelling?
B-R-I-N, yeah, and L-A-U-N.
And then your last name?
L-A-U-N.
L-A-U-N.
D-R-I-E.
D-R-I-E?
Yep.
Laundrie?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What's your date of birth, Brian?
I'll say crisscross applesauce, but can I just sit in the shade because I'm bald? It's okay. I'll give you some shade.
Can I sit crisscross applesauce under the tree because I'm bald? Right? This guy, okay. Classic. Here, let me move myself out so that you can see his face, right? Just look at his stupid mug, right? Look at it. Right. What is he doing? He's definitely friendly with the officers here. He's like, "Oh, I can definitely sit crisscross applesauce, but it's because I'm bald. Is it okay if I sit here?" Right? He's so friendly, he's charismatic, he's so charming, right? The way that he's hanging out with the officers, he's like, "Oh, I'm the cool guy. I'm just chilling. My girlfriend's crazy. She's crazy. She's got OCD. She's just hysterical. Women, right? Women, hysterical." This is a dangerous man, right? When you see this very clearly, very, very clearly, he is trying to manipulate the police. Even when asked, "Where's your ID?" He's like, "Oh, I can just go get up and get it." And the cops are like, "No, it's okay, sit down." He's like, "Okay, are you sure? You can come with me. I'm not dangerous." Yeah. That's what abusers do. Yeah. In front of the other people, they tell you, "Oh, I'm not dangerous. I'm a cool guy." but behind closed doors, they strangle people. This guy, right? Look what he's doing. And I do want to bring up the fact that he mentioned his baldness. He was how old was he here? 21, 22. Do we know his exact age? Let's go ahead and look it up. If anybody in the chat knows his exact age. Notice that he let go, right? He told everybody what his real insecurity is. He said it out loud. I'm bald. Is it okay if I get some shade? Can I sit under this rock, please? Because my scalp is sizzling. Yeah, he very clearly displayed his insecurity. One of the many reasons I believe that he wanted to control Gabby Petito, right? Is because at age 22, he had already lost all of his hair. All of it. Look, he's completely bald. And I think that is one of his main insecurities, apart, from the fact that he was just also just not talented whatsoever. And so he wanted to control Gabby by any means necessary. What do you guys think? What do you guys think? Let me know. I mean, I am being harsh on the guy, but of course he did murder her. And then he ended up unaliving himself, So again, this channel, we talk about, we roast evil people. If you're a shitty person, you're going to get roasted. I think he shaved his head. Oh, he was definitely losing his hair. He was losing his hair. He did shave it, I think, but that's because he only had 3 or 4 strands left. So at that point, he just had to shave it. He's like, oh, I can't just have 3 strands of hair on my scalp. So he just went full, just completely off. Oh, he was 23. There we go. Thank you so much, Julia. Yeah. Thank you so much. He probably shaved his head for attention. I see young guys intentionally shave their heads bald, but I am old. In the case of Brain Laundrie, he was definitely already balding. A lot of his younger photos, you can tell he's definitely just his receding hairline started probably when he was like 16. Who knows? But anyway, the guy is just laughing, smiling it up with the police. Oh, we're buddies. Yeah, go talk to my crazy girlfriend. Yeah, she's so crazy. Yeah, we're going to see that it ended up being him who's actually crazy. Let's continue.
Good? Alrighty, just hang tight for me. SO229. I need a 29 name and date of birth. First name Brian, layman spellings. Last name Laundrie. Lima Alpha Uniform, November Delta Romeo India.
Where'd you hit him? You slapped him first? It's on his face? How many times did you slap?
Bravo Romeo India Alpha November.
And then what? And his reaction was to do what?
It's gonna be out of Florida.
He just grabbed you? Did he hit you though? I mean, it's okay if you're saying you hit him, but then I understand if he hit you, but we want to know the truth if he actually hit you. Because, where did he hit you? Don't worry, just be honest. Did he slap your face or what? Yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay. So it's even.
Okay. So the police officer here, he's doing a good job at trying to get something out of Gabby, right? He's asking her, did he hit you? Did he slap you? Right? Remember, someone called. So the reason they were pulled over is because someone called the police to report a man slapping a woman while he's driving. So Brain Laundrie, he's driving, right? He's like, meow, and he's seen slapping Gabby. They're fighting. They're probably swerving, right? And so someone called the police to report this man abusing his girlfriend in the van. Now, here we have Gabby is claiming that no, he didn't slap her, but he did grab her face like this. Is that not abuse? When you grab someone's face, right? When you are, or, let's look at Brian, right? Look at Brian. When you are grabbing your girlfriend's face and you're shaking and you're grabbing really hard, that is abuse. That's called abuse. Okay. It doesn't have to be a slap or an actual hit or a punch. That is a form of abuse. When you grab someone's arms and you shake them, or you grab their face and you're like, stop acting that way, that is a form of abuse. If anything, it is way more egregious because you're holding the person and you're putting so much pressure and you're letting them know, you better not move or I'm going to squeeze harder, right? That is different than just psh, right, a slap. And of course, again, I'm not saying that just a slap. No, of course not. Like it's still abuse, right? They're both egregious no matter what. But what she's explaining here is a form of control and manipulation where he's grabbing her face, he's grabbing her arms and shaking her and having power over her. It's a different type of power than punching, right? Or slapping somebody. He's holding her, letting her know, I am stronger than you. I'm holding your face because I am stronger than you. And the police, they didn't get that. They heard that and they said, well, it's not a slap. It's not a punch. And I don't see any marks on you. So I guess it's not abuse. How is that not abuse? She's literally describing abuse. And they didn't get it. They didn't get it. They didn't catch that. Let's continue.
Drinking?
No, we don't drink.
Okay. What was up with this driving? This officer said he hit a curb.
I
While you're driving?
well, he was there.
While he was driving, you were hitting him?
Not a lot, but yeah. Probably like, come on, and I like kind of like do something.
Did you already tell him all this?
I didn't get that far into
Okay,
it. She
so
was hyperventilating
She's
a little
saying
bit.
that they don't drink, but at the point when you lit them up,
We don't drink or anything.
She started hitting him.
I was yelling at him, and then when you turned your lights on, I like kind of punched his arm like there's no just an idiot.
she's saying it was like he hit the curb. You said it was Gabby?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I remember that name was Gabby.
Yeah.
Try to meditate stuff, but you tend to have a lot of anxiety and stress.
I have a lot of anxiety.
And what's his name?
OCD.
Is it Brian? Is he usually pretty patient with you?
Yeah.
Thank you.
But it just makes me insane.
Okay. Wow. All right. So this guy here, this is the guy, okay? The guy that we're seeing, this guy, is the abusive one, right? It's this guy. So he's here now. He's asking Gabby all of the wrong questions. Is he usually patient with you? What kind of stupid question is that? Is he patient with you? Again, this is coming from a Utah cop who has a domestic violence call against him. Let's go ahead and actually read what this man did, okay? Now, notice right off the bat that he's asking her, is he patient with you? And before he asked that question, he asked her, so you're telling me you have a lot of anxiety. So by saying that, he's already putting a lot of the blame on Gabby herself, right? Now, the way that Brian described Gabby was that she gets really anxious, she gets hysterical, right? Oh, I was just trying to push her away. She's getting riled up, right? All of these words that he's using to describe Gabby. And in this case, right, we're seeing here from a domestic abuser himself also asking the questions, you're anxious, right? You're an anxious person. Well, is he patient with you? Is he patient with your anxiety? Is he patient with your hysterical outbursts? Right? That's kind of the vibe that we're getting from this guy, right? Again, the Utah officer who was promoted to detective, who was asking all of the wrong questions because, as we see, he's an abuser himself. So let's go ahead and read what this guy was actually found liable for. So he was the one who responded to the couple, but look at this. Gabby's family and lawyers say they have evidence that shows that one of the Moab, Utah police officers who responded to the incident has a history of pervasive professional and sexual misconduct using, you know, harassment and intimate partner violence, and was manifestly unfit and unsafe to be a police officer. Yeah, and they were seeking $50 million in damages, right? Gabby Petito's attorneys said in a statement that domestic violence is an epidemic and a silent killer, signs and symptoms of which often go unrecognized by those familiar with interpersonal violence or not familiar with interpersonal violence. The purpose of the lawsuit is to honor Gabby's legacy by demanding accountability and working towards systemic changes, right? This is what we're talking about here. We're not talking about just one bad cop. This is a systemic issue, right? This is something that is systematic. This is a failure of our judicial system and the way that we view victims. It is systemic. Systemic changes to protect victims of domestic abuse and violence and prevent such tragedies in the future, right? The wrongful death suit claims that Moab City Police Department and its officers failed to follow the law and therefore failed to protect Gabby. Petito's family and legal team says witnesses and evidence now show that Moab City officer Eric Pratt has a history of domestic abuse and has used authority and threats of physical violence to control and intimidate his partners. All right. And I mean, it keeps going. It keeps going. Stewart said in the statement that Moab City Police Department knew or should have known that Officer Pratt, who has a history of pervasive professional and misconduct and harassment and intimate partner violence, was manifestly unfit and unsafe to be a police officer. Again, right? Pratt stated at the scene, "You know why domestic assault code is there. It's there to protect people. The reason they don't give us discretion on these things is because too many times women who are at risk want to go back to their abuser. They just want him to stop and they don't want to be separated. They don't want him charged. They don't want him to go to jail, and they end up getting worse and worse treatment, and then they end up getting killed." That is what Pratt said, right? The abuser himself, the police officer. So the thing is, right? Let's just notice his statement for like a few seconds here, or a few minutes actually. Look at what he's saying, right? So he's saying that too many times, women who are at risk want to go back to their abuser. Okay, he's saying that they want to go back, that they just wanted him to stop abusing them, and they don't want to be separated. And they don't want him charged. They don't want him to go to jail, right? What do we see with Gabby, right? The way that she's acting, how she's apologizing constantly. She's saying, "Oh, it's just me and my OCD and my this," because she doesn't want him charged. But this is also because this is a classic case of someone who is being gaslit, someone who is being abused within the relationship, but it's subtle because there's no signs. There's no actual slapping or hitting or any physical signs of abuse. And so this is why it is always believed that women want to go back to the abuser. Okay, now, story time. Story time. This I am all too familiar with. Okay. Now, for all of you, many of you know that I was in the military. And when I was in the Marine Corps, my job in the Marine Corps, I was an administrative chief. So my job was basically administrative work, right? I was active duty Marine at the time. But my job was to deal with NJPs, which are called non-judicial punishments, awards, promotions, accountability of Marines, all the stuff. It's basically HR for the military. And The reason, right? The reason that this case hits close to home is because there was one case that really hit me when I was in the military, when I was in the Marines specifically. And this is the case of one of the corporals that was in the unit that I was in. This guy, we're going to call him Corporal P. Uh, Corporal P Corporal P was married to a Thai woman. He went to Thailand one time and he decided I'm gonna marry this woman. She's Thai. He brought her to the States and married her, and they had a baby together. Now, very like you know, into my job as an administrative chief, a lot of cases kinda came through, with our command. You do have a lot of domestic violence cases, unfortunately, in the Marine Corps because of the nature of what it is, right? It's a boys' club. It always is, it has always been, and it will always be a boys' club. Whether or not you wanna believe it, it is a boys' club. The military as well as the police department, it is a boys' club. They wanna protect one another, all right? That it has always been. And this was the case with the military itself, right? It is a boys' club because the majority of people in the military are men. When we look at the ratio, it's a 1 to 5 ratio where there are way more men than there are women, and the way that the entire culture is set around men. So, I started seeing, that Corporal P, his wife, started to make reports against him. A lot of these reports started as, some type of abuse, okay? Now, we started to see reports, and once we started to investigate them so that we can hold him accountable, his wife would then drop the charge. She would say, "Actually, never mind. I don't wanna do this anymore. I don't want to get him in trouble," and so they would drop the case. A few months would go by, and then all of a sudden, we see another case, right? We see that here we go, yet again. Corporal P's wife has called the police. There was a type of domestic dispute on base, what's going on, and she is calling the police again for domestic violence. Now, here we go. We're getting our paperwork ready. We're like, okay, we're gonna get Corporal P, and then she drops the case. This happened over the course of, I want to say, an entire year. And while this was happening, granted, I was the administrative chief and I was in charge of these. I was also in a room in an office full of men who would talk this way. Okay, they would talk the way that this officer spoke. They would say things like, "Well, she must not be getting abused. She must like it. She keeps dropping the cases. She must want attention because every time that she calls the police, she ends up changing her mind. She must just be doing this for the money. She must just be doing this for the A, B, C, or D." Every single excuse under the sun. Oh, she must love it. Oh, she must like to suffer. Maybe this is just what she's into. She's a masochist. All kinds of ridiculous things that they would say, always. And, I started to really, I really wanted to let them know that they were stupid. And the thing is that they failed to see that this woman couldn't leave Corporal P as much as he abused her. She was a Thai woman who didn't have papers, okay? He married her so that she wouldn't be able to go back to her country, right? So he basically found a vulnerable person, someone from another country, separated her from her country, from all of her people, brought her to the US, impregnated her, and then kept her basically as his slave at home on base, where he could just constantly and continuously beat on her, bash on her, and just continue abusing her. This woman couldn't just up and leave. Where was she gonna go? She was dependent on Corporal P. She was dependent on everything because he married her and he brought her to the States, away from all kinds of community. She didn't have her family anymore, zero community. Where is she gonna go? Where is she gonna go? That is what people don't think about. And not only that, but she was married to him and she had a baby with him. She couldn't work because she didn't have papers yet. They were still working on her papers. So she couldn't work legally in the country. Where is she gonna go? Where is she gonna seek help? She can't just leave him. And that's the thing that we fail to recognize about victims in these cases. She couldn't go anywhere. Fast forward, okay? We're still on Corporal P. Fast forward. Finally, a different case, right? A different type of call comes in. Now, by this point, I think it's probably the 6th or the 7th time that she has dropped the charges against him. This time he didn't hurt her. He hurt his son. This time, we were not looking at a non-judicial punishment. We were looking at a court-martial. We were looking to court-martial Corporal P for hurting his son, his baby son. His son at the time, I want to say he was maybe like 5 or 6. And what had happened was, this is what happened, okay? Based on the case that we were looking at, she called the police when he accidentally burned his son. His wife ended up with a broken elbow somehow, right? Somehow she ended up with a broken elbow, and the story is that she fell off a scooter. That is how she ended up with a broken elbow. Now, we were never able to prove that she didn't fall off a scooter. My belief was always that he pushed her down the stairs, but it was never proven, right? But she automatically, just out of nowhere, ended up with a broken elbow, and she was in a cast because she fell down a scooter. She was in a cast, and so at the time, she couldn't feed the baby. She couldn't feed their son, and so she ended up making soup for him, right? This is all per the files that we had. She made soup for him. She asked her husband to feed the baby because she needed to rest her elbow. She was in pain. He ended up not feeding the baby. The baby was crying. The soup got cold. So then she asked him, "Can you please feed him? I can't do it myself." So he's like, "Sure," right? He ends up getting up. He puts the soup in the microwave, puts who knows how many minutes, right? But he made it so hot that it was basically boiling. And instead of just leaving the soup to cool, he feeds that boiling soup to his son, feeds it to him as it's boiling. And he burned the entire inside of his son's mouth, the whole roof of his mouth. And then the kid ended up spitting the soup out that it ended up burning his entire mouth, all of it. We had photographs of the victim. We had pictures of what this corporal had done to his son from what it seems like was a temper tantrum that he had. The corporal, not the baby, the corporal. The corporal, it seems that he did not want to feed his baby because that was a woman's job. He wanted his wife, the one with the broken elbow who supposedly fell off a scooter, he wanted her to feed the baby because that's her job, because she's a woman. I brought you here from Thailand and I gave you a baby so that you can feed it. That is not my job. So then he had a little temper tantrum. He boiled the soup and then fed it to his son and burned him. Burned him. His entire mouth, all of it, burned. This was not a case of a non-judicial punishment anymore. All right, a non-judicial punishment, if you guys don't know about the military, a non-judicial punishment is a punishment that is not a crime. So it is a punishment that you commit in the military that is, it goes against military code of conduct, right? The UCMJ, the Uniform Code of Military Justice, but it's not a crime, right? So for example, if you call your staff sergeant a fuckface to his face, right? That is a non-judicial punishment, okay? You are probably going to lose your rank. You're probably going to end up on restriction to the barracks. You're probably going to lose pay. You can't call your staff and COs, right, your higher-ups, fuckfaces. You can't do that. Now, in civilian world, I can call anybody a fuckface. That is not a crime. I'm not going to go to jail for calling someone a fuckface, right? That is not a crime. And so that is the difference between a non-judicial punishment and a crime. But when you commit a crime, something that in the civilian world is considered a crime and illegal, it amounts to a court-martial. So now we go from a non-judicial punishment to a court martial, which is a bigger offense, right? There is more punishment. There's brig time, right? The brig is you're going to prison in the military, right? You're going to go to jail, military jail, which is sometimes worse than civilian jail. So this time we were looking at a court martial. We had all of our paperwork ready. She's like, I'm not dropping the case. He hurt my son. He hurt him. No, I'm not doing it. Well, the time came. We were ready, so ready for the court martial. And guess what? She dropped the case. She dropped it. As soon as we were about to court martial him and hold him accountable in the military, she dropped the case with the Hawaii Police Department at the time. She dropped it. And at that point, because the case was dropped in the civilian world, in the military, we couldn't do anything about it anymore. It was dropped. She went on. She's like, I don't want to do anything about it anymore. Our hands were tied when it came to the court martial, but however, we still had to hold him accountable for something. And so we decided, right, as a command, we decided we can't court martial him anymore because she dropped the case. But this is the 10th time that he has done this. And there is so many rules that he has broken with the Uniform Code of Military Justice. We need to hold him accountable in something. So we did. We NJP'd him. We gave him a non-judicial punishment. Now, when it came to the actual punishment, this is what the boys club thinks about, right? So as the boys club, right, as the military, they looked at the punishment and they're like, okay, we have to punish him, obviously, right? But what can we punish him with? Now, if we reduce his rank, if we make him from corporal to lance corporal, he's going to lose pay. If he loses pay, that affects his wife and his child because his wife and child depend on his money to survive. So they can't reduce his pay, right? They can't reduce his rank because therefore he's going to lose money that the victims need from him. So they didn't do that. They're like, you know what? You're still going to be a corporal. So what's the next thing we can do, right? Can we reduce his pay? Not reduce his rank, but reduce his pay? Absolutely not. Obviously, we can't have him forfeit his pay. It's the same as losing rank, right? He needs money. He needs to provide for his dependents, his family. So they didn't do that. They're like, you know what? Let's not reduce his pay. What else can we do? We can put him on restriction. Yeah. You can restrict Marines to the barracks. You can put them in the barracks and keep them there for however many months. And they're not allowed to leave base at all. That's what they did. They're like, you know what? Out of all of the things that we have to punish this guy, let's just go ahead and restrict him to the barracks. So they did, right? We put him in the barracks. And for an entire month, not a single call was made from domestic violence from his wife. His wife still came to base and visited him and brought the kids over, or, the child at the time. She brought her kid over and she would visit him, right, as she would, right, as a battered wife, as a domestic abuse victim, as a vulnerable woman who can't go anywhere and depends on her husband. She would still come over and visit him. And as always, right, we had men like this guy, right, Marines, right, my higher ups, sometimes staff sergeants, sometimes even higher up, right? Sometimes officers say stupid things like, well, this woman is obviously not battered. She's probably making it up. Look, she's still coming and she's still visiting him. She's still here visiting Corporal P. Look, she made him sandwiches and brought them to him. She's still bringing the son that he supposedly abused to come see him. So she's obviously making it up. This is what we mean, guys. This is what we mean by systemic. This is systemic. They didn't see him as a perpetrator and they didn't see her as a victim. They saw it as, oh, this woman, clearly, she's not a victim because she's still visiting him on base. She clearly still wants to get beaten, right? No. For the whole month that Corporal P was in the barracks restricted, she did not get battered, not once. She did not get beaten. The baby didn't get burned. Nothing happened. The second he was let go, the second his restriction ended and he went back home, guess what? I don't even think, this was a while ago, but I don't even think a week passed when the police, again, okay, military police, the MPs, were on base yet again. Same call, same thing. He had grabbed her. He had shaken her so severely that she had called the police because she actually ended up spraining something in her neck. Yeah, she ended up dislocating one of her vertebrae because that's how badly he shook her. And guess what? Right? Because he was NJP'd, but his rank wasn't reduced. During the time, he got promoted to sergeant. Yeah. Corporal P was now Sergeant P. Sergeant P then went on to become Staff Sergeant P. And then he became Gunnery Sergeant P. And then he became Master Sergeant P. He's Master Sergeant P now. I don't know what happened to his wife because I ended up getting out of the military. I ended up getting out. But the abuse continued. It continued. And he ended up getting promoted. Yeah. To this day, I think, yeah, to this day, the last time I remember seeing where he was at, he was a master sergeant. He was way high up. Nothing ever happened to him. And his wife, the whole entire time, she was a victim in silence. No one else could do anything about it. The military had their hands tied. What are they going to do? She keeps dropping the charges. It's a boys' club. They protected him. They protected him instead of protecting the wife who was getting beaten and the little boy who ended up getting burned because the grown man had a temper tantrum because it wasn't his job to feed his own son because that's a woman's job. This is a systemic issue, ladies and gentlemen. This is more than just a few cops or a few military members that are evil and psychotic. No. It is when we don't recognize what a true victim is. That is the problem that we see here. That's the issue. This is why we have femicide in the world, everywhere, across the world. Femicide is rising. Men keep killing women. Why? Because we don't recognize any type of abuse. It has to be very black and white. There has to be some type of bruise or something else going on, because if it's not that, then you're not really a victim. And if you're being victimized and you're getting beaten by your husband and you still visit him, then you must like to get beaten. This is a ridiculous way of thinking that we have in our society, and it has to stop. It has to stop. Story time over. There's a lot of stories. I'm going to have a lot of stories because, again, this case, very close to home, okay? My sister and a lot of other women that I have met throughout my life have been through this same exact type of scenario. And it's time that we talk about it, and it's time that we start asking women, do you feel safe? Because that's another question that we did not ask Corporal P's wife. Do you feel safe with him? Do you need to go somewhere? Is there a shelter that you need to go to? How can we separate you from this man? Those are the kinds of questions that we need to be asking. Let's continue.
But I know that he definitely gets frustrated with me a lot.
Way of taking my anxiety and bringing it down, but my ex-wife, that's why she's my ex-wife, I'm just sharing, I know it's a little personal, but to help you understand, we would feed off each other's anxiety and it would spiral, you know what I mean? And it doesn't matter how much I loved her. It may be bad for your soul, just saying. And I'm not telling you what to do with your life, but if you know you have anxiety, look at the situations you can get in, you know what I mean? And we're not here to be mean to you or anything. Well, you know, there's a first time and then it usually... We'll go see what Brian's saying, but I think you've heard everything now from...
Quick question. You said you were hitting him in the arm. Did you grab the steering wheel?
Did you hear what the guy said, right? Did you hear what the detective, right? He got promoted to detective and he was an abuser. Did you hear what he said? He's blaming everything on the victim. He's blaming her for having anxiety. He's using his own experience of him battering his own partners by saying, well, you know you have anxiety, so you need to do something about it. You're the one who's hysterical. You're the one that gets out of control. So, does he have any patience with you whatsoever? I wouldn't have patience. That is basically what this man is saying here. Basically what he's saying. He's saying, well, I mean, look at the way you're acting, right? Like, look at the way you're acting. I mean, anybody would act that way, right? Anybody would want to like push you away if you're acting all hysterical.
See what Brian's saying, but I think you've heard everything now from.
Quick question. You said should we do?
Yeah,
More, thank you.
but it just makes me upset. I know that he definitely gets frustrated with me a lot.
Way of taking my anxiety and bringing it down, but my ex-wife, as much as my ex-wife, I'm just sharing. I know it's a little personal, but to help you understand, we would feed off each other's anxiety. It would spiral. You know what I mean? And it doesn't matter how much I loved her. It may be bad for your soul. Just saying. And I'm not telling you what to do with your life.
My ex-wife, and that's why she's my ex-wife. Notice the way he's talking about his ex-wife. That's already a red flag. Ladies, if a man is talking to you and they're like, oh, my exes are all crazy, they're all crazy, all of them, every single one, all of them hysterical, all of them are crazy, that's a red flag. That's a huge red flag. And again, I have experienced a lot of this. A lot of it with friends, with other Marines, other Coast Guard women, right? I was also in the Coast Guard. I saw so much of this. And that is a huge red flag when they start talking about their exes as being the crazy one. And then he said, that's why she's my ex. That's why she's my ex-wife. It's because, duh, she was crazy. She's anxious. And then he goes on to say, well, we would feed off each other's anxiety. I don't know. Are you anxious? Get it together, girl. That is basically what he's telling her. He's blaming her. Get it together. Get yourself on medication. What in the world?
But if you know you have anxiety, look at the situations you can get in. You know what I mean? And we're not here to be mean to you or anything. Well, there's a first time, and then it usually. We'll go see what Brian's saying, but I think you've heard everything now from.
Quick question. You said you were hitting him in the arm. Did you grab the steering wheel?
No, I didn't.
You did not touch the steering wheel?
But only for like a second, because I just saw the lights come on, and it was more just like, you're an idiot. Like,
But did you grab the steering wheel and
No.
swerve or anything like that?
No. I
Okay.
didn't touch the steering wheel at all.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and close this door again. Do you have enough air back here, or do you want me to kick it up some more?
Do you have any water?
I will see if I can find some.
Okay, no worries. Thank you.
No problem. You wouldn't happen to have any water, would you?
Oh my goodness, Shelly. Oh, thank you so much. Oh my God, I so appreciate you. Oh my God, I've never seen this color pop up on the screen. Thank you so much for the 50 euros. Thank you so much, Rox, for all your hard work, amazing channel, and fantastic community and getting the message out. Shelly, I appreciate you so, so much. Thank you so much. Aw. I really appreciate you guys. And again, I'm grateful for all of you, the amazing community that we have created here. And yeah, the fact that we feel safe sharing our stories. And so that, people can know that if you're going through this, you're not alone. You're not alone. And I know it's hard to talk about and, there's fear involved, but you are not alone and there is help. And I'm just so glad that we're here and that we're able to share a lot of our experiences and be able to, bond and cope with it by having this community and looking out for one another. So thank you so, so much. I appreciate you. But yeah, I mean, Are you listening, right? Are we listening to everything that's happening here? The entire thing is mostly about how Brian is the victim. He's clearly, according to the guy, right, Eric Pratt, it is Brian who is the victim here, not her. And again, she's using, or he is using his own experience with, by him battering his own partners to make her feel bad. And then he even tells her, I'm not trying to be mean. No, we're not here to make you feel bad. I'm not trying to be mean to you, but you're the one messing with him. When very clearly he is lying. Let's continue.
Can I get a bottle?
Officer clear cut. So, did you already give a statement for this officer?
I've got this gentleman here.
Yeah. This gentleman noticed that you had some marks on your neck. Yeah. And she's got some marks on her too. We're just trying to figure out what all happened. And I know you probably already told your story. This officer is probably going to be the one handling the whole case. Do you want to listen to what he has to say? And then you tell him what happened.
So,
If you don't mind.
start at the beginning for me.
Start at the beginning. Well, I don't go too far back, but we've been in BLM land for the past week or so, traveling around. And the flies here are pretty intense, so the flies have definitely been getting to her. And then my feet are dirty and everything, so I think that our little squabble started because we were hanging out at the coffee shop, and when we got back to the van, there was some dirt and stuff in the van, and I moved our food around, so it was a little disorganized, so she gets a little...
Will you take those two? Sorry about that.
It's okay.
Do you need any water?
It's okay.
It's hot out here.
We were going to get water because we ran out, but it's okay. No, it's alright. I don't like plastic bottles. It's okay. Thank you, though.
Look at him. Look at his demeanor. Look at how he talks, right? He's like, oh yeah, my little feet are dirty. Yeah, our little squabble started when? This is a classic. This is a classic charming man wearing a mask. This is not the real guy. He's dangerous. Look at the way he's talking, right? He's making himself this chill guy again. He's manipulating the police, and he knows that he at least has one on his side. Pratt, Eric Pratt. He is on his side, very clearly, obviously. And now he's trying to get the other guys to be on his side as well, including the officer who is filming him, which I will say, I did give him his credit. I will always give credit where credit is due. I think that the officer filming right now, right, not Pratt, I think that he was doing his very best to try and understand, right? Trying to get to the bottom of him not being the victim. I think that this officer did get some type of vibe from him. But of course, Pratt is the senior officer. He calls the shots, right? Again, he called the shots because he has rank above everybody else. And when it comes to the military and the police department, right, we have a hierarchy. You follow your chain of command. And so senior officer says he's the victim, then guess what? He's the victim. You can't do anything about it. Let's continue.
But we just had a little disagreement there. The disagreement was just that she was getting a little worked up, and I was saying, no, it's okay, thank you so much.
Okay, as long as it's cool, that's good.
So it was just more of a disagreement, and I just wanted to say...
What was the disagreement about?
It was, I wouldn't even call it disagreement. It was just that I'm dirty and I can't change being dirty. Like I got dirty feet, I got sand on my flip-flops and stuff like that. It was that we were...
Did you hear his ridiculous excuse? Oh, it was a disagreement. Oh, it wasn't really a disagreement. I mean, the disagreement really started because I'm dirty. And I can't change who I am. I'm just a dirty guy. The thing is that she asked me to wash my feet before I put the feet in the bed on the pillow where she sleeps. Yeah, I didn't wash my feet. And so the thing is, I'm just a really dirty guy. It's just who I am. And she doesn't accept me for being such a dirty POS. Sometimes I don't even wash my ass, but that's just who I am. I'm just dirty. So the disagreement started because he's dirty, and she was asking him stop being dirty. What is this? What is this, right? What is this? Now again, he's like, you guys understand, right? You're men. Now that we're men. We change our underwear now that we're men, right? Very typical of SpongeBob SquarePants, right? Now that they're men, they have little kelp mustaches. I'm a man now, but I still don't wash my ass. He's trying to relate with the boys, right? "Oh, you're a guy too. Your feet are dirty, I can tell." And that is how he's trying to get the guys to be on his side. He's just all charm. So charming.
We were at the coffee shop for so long because we were there from 9 to 3. So yeah, there's a few little things, little relationships. I don't know if you're in a relationship, but I'm sure you are.
I've been married for over 5 years now. So.
There's a lot of little things.
Yeah, I can go.
And
I get it.
we really we weren't physical before the point where I said, all right, let's just take a breather and like walk away for a minute. I'll lock the van up and I'll go for a walk this way, and you can go walk that way on the block. You know, there's that what is it called, Moonflower?
Right.
Yeah. You know, nice areas. You can go either way. It's all shaded. So let's go for a little walk and breather. Come back. We're happy with it. But she just, I'm not upset with her. She got a little worked up, and she had her phone in her hand and her keys and everything. And she wanted, not her keys, her rings. Her rings, her phone. And I was holding on to the keys because I didn't want to go anywhere. And my big fear is, I don't have my phone. I don't have a phone. So she goes off without me. I'm on my own.
The dude is just rambling. Do you hear everything he's saying? He sounds like Nicole Kessinger and Chris Watts mixed together, right? If you overlay Nicole Kessinger and Chris, this is what they would sound like him. Oh, she had a ring, and then, she had the fun, but it didn't really happen. It wasn't really like that big of a deal. It was kind of a disagreement. It wasn't really a disagreement, because she wants to start a little vlog thing, and, it's because I'm just a dirty guy. I don't really wash my feet, and, it wasn't really that big of a deal. It was kind of just like a little disagreement, On and on and on. This is a word salad, right? And he keeps cutting himself off. He keeps censoring himself. He doesn't really want to say what he's doing to Gabby. Notice, he interrupts. He's constantly censoring himself. He wants to start talking about how he is abusing her psychologically, verbally, mentally, and physically, but he censors himself. He stops himself and says, "Oh, it's just little things, it's just all the little things. She thinks I'm dirty and I don't want her to succeed. Just little things. Classic narcissist." Let's continue.
So I was saying, let's just go for a walk, and she was trying to get the keys for me, so I was just going, just wait back up, and that's when she hit me, and I didn't get, I don't want to push you, but I didn't get overtly physical. I was just trying to keep her away and not get hit, and then I got really loud, and like that's probably fear of attention, where I was going, back up, get away, just give me a...
Okay, so you said you pushed her to create some distance, obviously, right? What happened?
Notice how he said I wasn't overtly physical with her, but then just admits that he pushed her. Oh, I wasn't overtly physical. I was just pushing her away from me. I pushed her, and then she got me. Again, what does that say? What is he saying? Notice his censorship. Notice every time that he goes and talks about something that he's about to say, right? Incriminate himself. He stops himself and then says, "Oh, it's just the little things." Again, he's doing the same thing here. He's admitting that he pushed her, but wasn't overtly physical with her. What does that mean? You can't put your hands on somebody and say, "I wasn't overtly physical." That is physical. There's no in between, right? He was definitely physical because he's trying to get her away, because she's trying to get her keys to her car, her van that she purchased for herself, for her vlog. And he was just tagging along, right? He's just a freeloader. He's like, "Oh yeah, I'm here for the ride. Yeah, I didn't put a single dime on this van. I'm just here because I'm your boyfriend. And I just want to make you feel like you're not gonna succeed." That's basically it. Let's continue.
What happened after that? What got the scratches on your eye?
The phone.
The phone? So you pushed her and she hit you?
It wasn't like a push and she jumped on me. She was already, I don't want to, she was already swinging, and I was pushing. A lot of angles, a lot of nails, a lot of rings.
Yeah, you got 3 scratches in your neck. You got one on the left side of your nose. You got one in your face here, and you got 4 bleeding over there. So it looks like 2 hands coming in.
Do you mind lifting up your right sleeve for me? I'm curious about something.
It's a little bit of nails. I suppose fingernails, but I'm not complaining. I'm not complaining about
Is it
fingernails.
bruised or tender or anything like
No.
that?
Okay. I'm fine, and I love Gabby. I hope she doesn't have too many complaints about me. I'm just, I feel bad I had to get so public. I was just trying to be loud. So this is, you know, try to make her calm down and be like, look, everyone's watching. And like,
He's making her feel crazy. This is gaslighting, right? This is gaslighting 101. Notice that he's making her seem like the crazy one. He's like, look, everyone's watching. Stop acting this way. When he's the one driving her to insanity with his gaslighting, with his lying. He's making her feel like she's the one who's crazy. And then notice the way he's like, oh, I don't know, that's probably a nail. I'm not complaining though. Oh, you know what? Lots of nails, lots of rings. As he's laughing, right? As he's laughing. He's being charming. This is classic narcissism, right? I'll keep saying it. He knows that all he has to do is be charming and be friendly with them, and then they're going to side with him because he's like, "Well, I'm a guy. Look, I'm really big. It's fine. You know, it's fine that she hit me. Ugh, I don't want to press charges. You know, she's just a little girl. I don't want to press charges." Yeah, that's because he's the one driving her to go crazy. The way that he's treating her, the way that he is putting her down constantly is making her behave that way because he's gaslighting her. He's verbally and physically and mentally abusing her. And so every time that she reacts to that abuse, he then turns it on her and says, hey, you're being crazy. The way that I'm treating you is not that big of a deal. You're crazy. That is what abuse, this type of abuse looks like. And it needs to be recognized. Let's continue.
Just hang tight for me. I got a quick question for you, Ryan. Sure. Do you take any medications or anything like that? You don't take any medications or anything like that? Okay. Are you normally this kind of like hyper?
do I see my heart rate up whenever the lights flash on? It gets your heart rate up. Do I see my?
Trust me, it does me too, and I'm the one it gets me going a little bit.
You probably
too.
can say, "Hey, buddy," whenever somebody walks up.
Yeah, notice, okay, again, credit where credit is due. The cop filming, right, his body cam, he notices something off, okay? I think he really notices that Brian this is not the real guy. This is a performance. This is fake. He's like, hey, are you always this hyper? Are you? And then Brian's like, oh, I'm just so hyper, because the adrenaline rush. I've never been pulled over before, Yeah. Yeah, it's an act. This is an act. It's a performance. Look at his big smiles. He's like, yeah, let me go so that I can keep abusing my girlfriend and then making her feel like she's the crazy one. And because these guys are now feeding into it, right? They're feeding into his energy, his vibes. He has already completely sold himself as the victim, and the other cop already believes he's a victim. He's like, oh, they bought my bullshit, right? They bought his bullshit, and then he went on to murder her. And this is why this is a systemic issue. They saw this and they're like, oh, it's fine. It's fine. She was the one beating him. He's the victim. And so therefore he's not going to turn around and do anything to her because she's the one who's beating on him. Yet they completely ignored the story behind all of it. Why was she trying to get her phone and her keys away from him? Why was she trying to get her belongings that belong to her away from him? She has every right to take her keys from him. And then he pushed her away when she tried to get her keys from him. And they ignored that completely. Let's continue.
So, okay. Well, yeah, do you know if she takes any?
She's crazy. No, I don't think so. No, none that I know of.
All right. Real fast, can I get your first name?
Yeah, it's Gabrielle.
Gabrielle, how do you spell that?
Riell.
And your last name? B-E-T?
P is in Peter.
Oh, P.
And E-T-I-T.
I see. Oh. You guys both live in Florida, right? Or that's where you guys come
My
from?
license is Florida right now, but I'm from Florida.
But that's where you have it out of currently. That's O-T-T-9. I need a 29 by name and date of birth. First name, Gabrielle. Golf, Alpha, Bravo, Romeo, India, Echo, Lima, Lima, Echo. Last name, Petito. Papa, Echo, Tango, India, Charlie, Oscar. It's gonna be Florida. We're just kind of hanging tight for a minute. All right.
Where do you guys live? You live in Georgia? Florida. Was our last address.
God, even the way he stands, right? Look at the way he's standing. He's standing like a he's like this. I'm just a little victim. Look at the way he's standing. He's like a kid, right? He's such a manipulator. He's such a narcissist. He knows. Oh, I just have to stand like this and just look like a little boy. Look at the way he's standing, right? And then his demeanor again. Look at his face. Look at the way he's standing. Very, very classic manipulator. He knows. He knows how to manipulate people.
Still get down there. How long you been on this trip? 4 to 5 months now. So you're up to 5.
What was the determinants? What was the ending of the trip going to be? Moving to a new place?
We're
Or
going to Portland. So her grandmother's best friend lives in Portland. Where we stayed. 2 years ago we did a blood cross-country trip, which we loved. We did in Nissan Sentra, like a tiny little car. So I was like, let's do it better. Let's get a big van. Not a big, it's a tiny van compared to all this. But I said, let's try and do it a little better. And it's been great so far, for sure. But yeah, we're going over to Portland, and I don't know if you're probably here.
Whoa, did he just say he was the one who gave her the idea to get the van? Is that what he just said? Is that what he just said? He's like, oh, we're going in the Sentra, but I told her to get the van. What? She bought that van herself. Van life. That's what her vlog was about. It was a van life. It wasn't Sentra life. Is that what he said? Let's go ahead and listen again.
We're just kind of hanging tight for a minute. All right.
Where do you guys live? You live in Georgia? Florida. Was our last address. Still get down there.
how long you been on this trip?
4 to 5 months now. So you're up to 5.
What was the determinants? What was the ending of the trip going to be? Moving to a new place?
We're
Or
going to Portland. So her grandmother's best friend lives in Portland. Where we stayed. 2 years ago we did a blood cross-country trip, which we loved. We did in Nissan Sentra, like a tiny little car. So I was like, let's do it better. Let's get a big van. Not a big, it's a tiny van compared to all this. But I said, let's try and do it a little better. And it's been great so far, for sure. But yeah, we're going over to Portland, and I don't know if you're probably here more familiar with it, but
Oh, God, I can't stand him. Yeah. Yeah. He took credit for the van. He took credit for the van. Okay, yeah, they went in a Sentra, but I'm sure the van was not his. That was not his idea. Remember, this guy didn't actually believe in Gabby. He didn't believe that she could run a vlog and let it be successful. because he didn't want her to succeed, okay? Let's remember, it's not because she wasn't capable and she didn't have the drive or the passion, because, absolutely she did, and she would have been successful. It's that he didn't want her to be, right? He didn't want her to be successful because he's a typical insecure little POS who didn't want her to grow and realize that he is still stagnant. This is what happens in these types of toxic relationships, is that he knows that she can do better than him. But if he keeps her at his level, she will never be able to surpass him. And that is what he was afraid of. He wanted to keep her down. He wanted to beat her to the ground so that she would never leave him, so that she would never realize what a loser he was. This is what happens in these types of relationships, right? And again, I'm going to bring my sister into this because it was very typical of what was going on in my sister's relationship. He realized that if my sister actually went out and did the things that she wanted to do, she would realize that he's a piece of crap, right? She would realize, oh, this guy I'm with is actually, he doesn't add any value to my life, right? He doesn't add anything, right? I've achieved all of this on my own without his help. So why do I even have him here? So that I can make him sandwiches, right? This is what he's realizing, that if Gabby becomes too successful, she's going to realize that he's a burden, that he's just a baby, that she needs to take care of him. And that is what he did not want her to see. What do you guys think about this? This is so insane. This is one of, this case is, like I said, it hits close to home for me. It's very personal. And it's, when it happened, I just couldn't believe it, because when it happened, I thought back on it and I was like, this could have been my sister, right? This could have been my sister. I thought back on all of the victims, right, in the Marine Corps and in the Coast Guard that I encountered, and I thought about all of them, and I'm like, this could have been any one of them, and it could have been any one of my friends, right? It could have even been me, right? And so it just hits so close to home because it is subtle abuse that other people don't see. And that is why this is so dangerous. Let's continue.
Woofing, have you ever heard of that? WWOOFING.
Yeah.
Oh, you got it.
I'm from California originally.
Oh, yeah.
So, and part of my job, I dealt with employees that were from all across the United States, and Washington, Oregon, California, Nevada, everything you can think of on your level Western. I know most of them.
It's worldwide opportunities on organic farms, so it's like a volunteer workaway type of situation where you can work on organic farms. So that's our goal once we get over to Washington. We'll do that from Washington, then down to Oregon, and down to California. So that's cool. What part of California is that?
I'm from a town just outside Sequoia National Park. If you're going to be going through there,
we'll get good in the way of outdoors.
Good. But no, it wasn't too bad at all.
He reminds me so much of my sister's ex. He really does. The way that he seems to be very engaged in the conversation, right? He's like, "Where are you from?" "Oh, California." "Oh, by Sequoia." "Oh, dude, that is so freaking cool, man. Yeah, bro. That's sick." He reminds me so much of my sister's ex because this is how he was, right? Like, he would come to me, right? Talk to me straight to my face and be like, "Hey, Roxy, how's it going? Yeah, how's the Marines?" "Really? Dude, that is so awesome. It's so cool that you're doing that. I've been telling your sister that she should join too. Like, she would do so many cool things. That is so awesome." And then I come to find out that he was actually telling my sister that I'm a piece of shit. Yeah, he was telling her, "Ugh, God, you should never be like her. She's awful. You shouldn't trust her. You shouldn't trust anybody that joins the military. People who join the military are evil. Do you know what she likes? Yeah, she's into murdering people overseas. Yeah, she supports all kinds of bad things. Yeah, and also she's a freeloader. Yeah, she's in the military. That means that she's getting money from the government. So she's a freeloader." all kinds of absurd things that he was telling my sister. And then to my face, he would act like this. Oh, hey, what's up, Roxy? Oh, dude, the Marines are so cool. I love the military. Yeah, thank you for your service. Psychopath. Psycho. Yeah. Dangerous. That's what they are.
Oh, I just got a phone with one of the two witnesses, and I recorded it. You want me to tell you what he said? Yeah. Real quick. Do you mind hanging with him for a minute? So, get away from both of them. So, he said that he never saw the male strike the female. He saw the male trying to lock her out of the vehicle. She even told us that he was trying to lock her out, told her to go take a walk. So that she was trying to get in. She eventually couldn't get in and actually clawed her way in through the driver's door. He says, I don't understand why she's doing that. Well, I think it's because it was the only door that wasn't locked that she could get through. She's trying to get in over him. He's trying to disengage from her. I guess he hung her backpack on the back probably so she'd have her shit so that he didn't have to engage with her. Everything she's saying is the same thing. I haven't heard what he said, but if that's what he said, it's also what the witness is saying. The witness says, I never saw him hit her. I saw him shove her, but I couldn't tell if it was an aggression against her or a defense against her as far as her, being the aggressor. So at this point, unless the guy's screaming that he needs to go to jail and did something to this girl, it sounds to me like she is the primary aggressor.
Yeah.
Now, the problem with her being the primary aggressor is in an instance of domestic assault, be it a male or be it a female, we shall arrest. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean they have to go to jail. We can do a citation if it meets one of three criterion, which one of them is that we can ensure that they're not going to further risk each other's safety. But the problem with that is they live in the same vehicle.
That's what I was going to say. The other part of it is
there was actually an injury too to the victim, which is him.
Right, and I'm getting conflicting stories about why they hit the curb up here.
What did he say why he hit the curb?
Well, I've watched.
Oh, yeah, he's so quick. Yeah, he's so quick to call Brian the victim. He's definitely dead set on Brian being the victim. He's like, yeah, no, he's definitely the victim, right? I asked her questions. I haven't heard what he said, but I don't really care. I don't care at this point. Yeah, that's because he's biased. Let's go ahead and pull up the thing again, right? Look at that. Look at that. He's now a detective, similar to Sergeant, or at this point, Master Sergeant Pendergraph. Yeah, that guy. He is a DV person. And of course, that is exactly why. It is because he is biased. He's biased. So he's already coming up with all kinds of excuses on why, he's like, well, if it's a male or a female, it is regardless of whatever it is. It seems at this point that she's the aggressor. Without any further investigation from a biased officer who has charges against him, right?
This is what I saw first. Saw him cross the double yellow. I was doing 42 miles an hour. I was, probably 2 car lengths behind him, tapping my whales at him, trying to get his attention. They knew I was behind him. And then after he crossed the double yellow, he merged over into the right lane, and then out of nowhere, just boom, hit the curb.
So did he tell you why?
He said that she grabbed the wheel and turned it real hard. She said that she was hitting him in the arm. So
sounds legit. I mean, I'm sure if I'm driving and my arm's on the wheel and I'm getting hit in the arm, I'm probably pulling out the wheel.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it was a little of both. I mean, usually the truth is somewhere in between. He's probably trying not to say that he hit her because he probably doesn't want her charged with assault, domestic assault. He probably would rather say she pulled the wheel than hit him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, unfortunately for her,
again, he is completely ignoring the fact that the caller literally saw him shove her. Shoving is a form of physical assault. I don't understand where this guy is confused. Shoving is physical assault. Shoving. Let's go ahead and just look up the word shoving because apparently this guy does not know what shoving is. Shoving. Shoving is the act of pushing someone or something with rough, steady, or careless force. It is often used to describe jostling in a crowd or moving an object in a hurried manner, okay? Physical action. Forcibly pushing someone, roughly or rudely, right? This is when it comes to the physical action. I mean, look at it. It has physical. The word physical is in front of the definition. That's because it is a physical force. You shove something, right? If you shove something somewhere, you're forcing it to go somewhere. That is a physical assault. Now, why are they ignoring the fact that he shoved her first and that she's trying to get her keys that belong to her? This is the biggest miss here. They're ignoring the first shove and ignoring the context of the story. They are not going into the context of it. Why does she want her keys in the first place? And this was the biggest miss from this officer who is biased.
We cannot treat, just because he's bigger and stronger, and even if he's not willing to press charges, we can't treat this differently than if it was a male on female violence. And we're going to have to charge her. And we can do a citation if there's some arrangement that can be made to separate them. And then we have to let them know that there's no contact order in effect. And we have to let him know the only way to drop it is to go into the police department during business hours and fill out a waiver, which, by the way, what's today? Thursday? So it won't be till tomorrow. I know they're till noon, I think.
Yeah.
Which I'm sure he's going to want to drop it.
Well, the other part of it is they said that they've been on 4 or 5 months that they've been living out of this van together.
Well, this is really bad news, so let's talk to him first. This is Brian?
Yeah.
Did you ask him yet to take pictures of him? Yeah?
No, I haven't done any of that yet.
Brian, unfortunately in the state of Utah, we don't have discretion on some things. Like, for example, if I pull you over for speeding and I want to give you a warning, I can do that because it's under Class A, it's a Class B or under. If I want to give you warnings for all kinds of stuff, I can, but there's a few things I can't. When I say I, the police, I'm not in charge of it. One of the things that the state legislature doesn't give us discretion on is charges when it comes to a domestic assault. And it sounds like you guys are living together, so you meet the statute for domestic partners. And you do have injury, and both an independent witness, probably the next one we're going to talk to as well, which we haven't talked to yet, but the one we did talk to, and your own companion have made it clear that she was the primary aggressor and that she was striking you and that you received injuries. You haven't admitted to striking her. She has not admitted to striking her. The witness did not see you strike her. So at this point, you're the victim of a domestic assault that even if you didn't want to pursue this, we don't have a choice. The best thing...
Look at how giddy he is. He is so giddy. He is so happy to be told by the police that he's the victim. He even goes, really? I'm the victim? Oh, thank you for that. I've been telling her that this whole time. I'm always the victim. So now that he has validation from this little piece of shit police officer who is also biased, now that he has validation, he starts laughing. He's so giddy at the thought of him being the victim, right? He's like, oh, I love it. Oh my God, I love it. Now I can shove it in her face. Now I can tell her to her face, look, I've been telling you that you're crazy. I'm always the victim. He's giddy. This is giddy. He's laughing, not because he thinks he actually knows it's ridiculous, right? But what makes him laugh more, I think, is that he loves it. I think he gets satisfaction from knowing that the police think that he's the victim.
Did you ask him yet to take pictures of him? Yeah?
No, I haven't done any of that yet.
Brian, unfortunately in the state of Utah, we don't have discretion on some things. Like, for example, if I pull you over for speeding and I want to give you a warning, I can do that because it's under Class A, it's a Class B or under. If I want to give you warnings for all kinds of stuff, I can, but there's a few things I can't. When I say I, the police, I'm not in charge of it. One of the things that the state legislature doesn't give us discretion on is charges when it comes to a domestic assault. And it sounds like you guys are living together, so you meet the statute for domestic partners. And you do have injury, and both an independent witness, probably the next one we're going to talk to as well, which we haven't talked to yet, but the one we did talk to, and your own companion have made it clear that she was the primary aggressor and that she was striking you and that you just received injuries. You haven't admitted to striking her. She has not admitted to you striking her. The witness did not see you strike her. So at this point, you're the victim of a domestic assault. That even if you didn't want to pursue this, we don't have a choice. The best thing we can do to not, the law says we have to charge her. It doesn't say we have to put her in jail. Okay, but it also says we have to separate, get a no contact order, and we have to put her in jail if we cannot separate. And the little problem here is you guys are out of Florida living in the van together. How are we supposed to separate you guys? Now, I don't want to take this small 20, what is she?
He's a 22-year-old
blonde
hair,
jail,
blue-eyed
that you could definitely defend yourself against, but at the same time, we can't say because you're a male and she's a female, we can't treat this different than if you were the male hitting her. Or we got treated the same.
Yeah, no.
So she
Wow. The irony of hearing this from this guy, right? It's no different than when I beat my wife. I mean, if she was beating me, it's the same, right? Yeah. Wow. Wow. And yeah, look at he's just so giddy. He's like, "Oh, what? I'm the victim? Or are you gonna send her to jail? I mean, she's 5'5", 22-year-old blonde hair, blue eyes. Oh, don't send her to jail. She's not that dangerous." And you know what? I don't think that the officer that is filming, right? The officer whose body cam we're watching, I don't think he bought it. I really don't think he did. I will give that officer the credit, right? Unless he changes my mind or unless he did something ridiculous, right? But I give this officer credit because I think that had he been the senior officer, I think he probably would have taken this a different route. But unfortunately, the senior officer ended up being this guy, right? This big ball of just shit. A bag of useless crap that ended up becoming a detective, and now he is in charge of deciding who is a victim and who isn't. Danger, 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 danger everywhere you see it.
she's kind of in a tough spot. So unless you have an idea about how she could not go to jail and be separated, do you have friends in town? Somewhere she could stay? Tomorrow, if you want to, it's up to you. You can
Can I go to jail?
You can't because we don't have a charge for you. Now tomorrow, if you wanted to be with her again tomorrow,
I'm gonna take your radio.
if you want to be with her again tomorrow, because it's after 5, so office is closed, so you can go to the police department and fill out a waiver to drop the no contact order so you guys can still be together. But she's going to have a court date online in a week or two. She's going to have to show up for a court date online and answer. The prosecutor might drop it. They might say, for example, if you're not willing to pursue it, that's your decision.
Anyway, I was gonna say it definitely is. I'm not gonna pursue anything. She's my fiance. I love her. She's the most probable. I'm sorry that I had to get so public. But so I just want to get like the checklist of things I gotta do to get rid of it. So there's an online court date.
Well, she'll get a paper with a court date.
How do I get rid of it?
Well, the court date has to be attended in order for them to decide whether they need to continue or drop it. First,
God, he annoys me. He thinks he's so funny. I mean, everything he thinks this is a joke. He really thinks this is a joke. He's talking to the cop and he's like, "What if I just take your radio?" I'm just joking. I'm just joking, bro. Joking. That's a joke. Yeah. And now he's like, "How do I just make it go away? Can I go to prison instead?" Yeah, can I be the tribute, right? I'm offering out myself for prison. Classic manipulator. He has been designated the victim in this case. So now he's trying to make himself even more of this, I don't know, angel, right? He's like, "Oh, I know that I'm the victim, but I just love her so much. You know, she's my fiance. I know I'm the victim. I know that she's crazy. I know that she beats the shit out of me, right? Bullshit. I know that this and that and the other thing, but you know what? I'm such a good, loving fiance that I'll be willing to go to prison for her. Don't take her to jail. She's so small. Look at her. I'll do it. I'll take one for the team." Who does this remind us of? Who else says things like this? "Oh, I was just trying to help him hang out with his kids, It wasn't me taking him away from his kids. I was the one pushing him. Go hang out with your kids, Chris. Please do it for me. If you love me, go hang out with your kids, Chris. I love you so much. I just want you to hang out with your kids. This is classic manipulation. This is a person who is trying to paint himself as an angel, right? He's a saint. Oh, he loves Gabby so much. Oh, he's willing to take one for the team. He'll go to prison, not her. And then everything that he's doing, all of it is an act. He knows how to manipulate these cops, especially the stupid one. But the other ones, I feel, are not really buying it. Notice that this is the only cop who is validating him right now. But Brian seems to be wanting to get on the good side of the cop filming him. He keeps joking, not with the idiot, right? Not with this guy, right? Not with this guy. He keeps joking with the guy filming him. Hey, what if I take your radio? No? I'm joking. I'm just joking. Wait, where are you from? Oh, you're from California? Sequoia? Oh my God, that's awesome, bro. That's because I feel that he knows that he hasn't had this officer convinced, but he convinced this dumbass, right? He convinced this potato head. Who knows? Maybe it's because they're both bald. Bald, bald. A lot of SpongeBob references here, right? Bald, bald. Ah, my eyes. Ah. That's probably what's going on here, right? They're both bald. They're both just blinding everybody with their baldness, and both of their scalps are burning. So they're like, I got you, bro. I know what it's like to be bald. Bald, my eyes. Yeah, let's continue.
An initial appearance to say, are you who we think you are? Yes. Do you understand the charges been brought against you? Yes or no? Yes or no, the answer. Do you have an attorney? Yes or no, do you need one? And then from there, she can ask to speak with the prosecutor. The prosecutor might be contacting you and say, hey man, like, I don't see 110 pounds soaking wet and you're a big strong guy and you understand you're not even wanting to pursue this, but the cops have to follow the statute. How, like, what in the interest of you, of justice for you, the victim, what do you think? And they can decide to still prosecute her, or they can decide to drop her, or they can decide to give her a plea and make it kind of go away so she behaves somehow. But that still does not eliminate the first court appearance that she has to attend, which thankfully for you guys is going to be online. So, you don't have to, so if you're out of town, here's the thing, if you're out of town and she doesn't come into her court appearance online, they can suspend her driver's license, they can issue a warrant for her, so she needs to play ball. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And remember her team, me and her and her team, I'm sorry about all this, I apologize again, but so she's got her online court date, just acknowledge that she's her, and then she's got the one for the...
Well, there's automatically right now, there's something called a no contact order in place.
Yeah,
from this point forward until tomorrow, if you wish to drop it, you have to go to the 217 East Center Street, Moab City Police Department.
I've got all the papers.
And you have to ask them to give it to you. You want to fill out a waiver that you're requesting a waiving of the contact order, no contact order. No contact order means she cannot come into contact with you, she cannot talk to you, she cannot text you, she cannot go onto any premises you're occupying, she cannot go to your vehicle. And until you drop that, or until a court date, if you don't drop it, it'll stay in effect until midnight on the day before. And then that gives you time to get protective order, a long-term one if you feel like you need one. It sounds like you don't even want this one. So tomorrow, they open at 8, you can go into the police department, you can sign the waiver, they can remove it, then you can say, hey babe, where you at? Let me pick you up. And you can pick her up. Now, we're hoping not to put her in jail, but if she doesn't have somewhere to go tonight, to be separate from you, then where are we supposed to
I can't talk to her now because it's separation,
There's no
right?
contact over there.
So tell me this: do you guys have enough money for like a hotel room or anything like that? Because what we could do is we'd cite her for this, and then I'd give her a ride over to whatever hotel you guys is choosing.
Pick her up there tomorrow if you
And
want
you-
up.
God, he's loving this. He's so gross. He's such a sadist. He loves this. Right? He's enjoying every minute of these cops telling him that he is the victim and she's the aggressor. He's loving it because of the type of abuse that he was exposing her to. All gaslighting and all manipulation, the type of psychological abuse that makes you question whether or not you really are crazy, right? That type of abuse, a lot harder to prove, of course, but just as equally harmful, if not more, I would argue, because if you're questioning whether you're crazy, that is a level of abuse that is so far gone, right? It's so like It's so fucking sinister that it makes you question your own sanity. And at that point, you're actually believing, holy shit, I am the crazy one. That is a level of abuse that it takes years and years to break down that thought pattern, years of intense therapy to go back to believing that no, you're not the crazy one. They are the crazy one. They are the ones that are manipulating you. And it takes years, years to break down that type of mentality when you have been told over and over and over again that you're the crazy one. It is sick. It is a sick level of abuse and manipulation that unfortunately doesn't get recognized in our society as much as it should, as much as other types of violence get recognized. And even those, I would argue, even more egregious types of violence are not really even fully recognized. Okay. And that is because of the punishment that we see for things like DV or SA, right? We know what SA is. Can't keep saying it because it's YouTube, right? But those types of offenses are not punished as severely as they should be. They should be more severely punished, but our society doesn't really see those types of cases as severe enough to warrant a capital punishment. They get what, 5, 10 years in prison, if that. You get out on parole, you get out early on good behavior, and then they get out and they do it all over again. And they abuse their partners. It is systemic because we see partners and we see relationships as not really being they're not real victims. And that's because of our history, the history where women were property. Women were considered property for so many years. Women did not have rights. Women couldn't even get divorced. And so because of that, that type of ideology has continued on even to this day in 2026. We still see this type of DV, right? This type of behavior as not as serious as if a stranger just popped out, right? A stranger popped out of the alley and said, hello, let me just harm you, right? When usually that is not the type of cases that we see. The majority of cases and violence against women and children are happening in the home, not in the street. The majority of women are not getting murdered in the street by a stranger in the alley. They're getting murdered by their partners at home. At home. Statistically, we see that women who are victims of homicide are getting murdered by their partners, by their boyfriends, ex-boyfriends, husbands, ex-husbands, right? And many times fathers, right? Uncles, brothers. So many of these cases are domestic because it's happening at home. But we just don't see it and we don't recognize it as severe as if it was a stranger. And that is what we need to change. And that is what we need to talk about and start recognizing that all types of violence, even coercive violence, manipulation, gaslighting is still a form of violence. Although not physical, it is still harmful and it leads to this. It leads to lives destroyed and lives lost. And I did just want to say this right before we're gonna have to, we'll keep watching this, right? We'll do this, continuing this live stream. But I did just want to look at this. August 12th. August 12th. Now, again, we're talking about statistics here. We're talking about the studies and trends. August, right? August is the time of the month, right? Or the time of the year where most family annihilators annihilate their families. It's around August time. And even though this is not a family annihilation case, it is a DV case. Notice that it happened in August. Is it a coincidence, right? It could be at this point, but again, I just thought it was really interesting that we see that yet another homicide where an intimate partner murdered his girlfriend. also happened in August, the same month where we see family annihilations and fathers murdering their wife or their kids and husbands murdering their wives. So just wanted to say that. But yeah, we're gonna go ahead and stop it here, you guys. We have a lot to go. And again, I do want to have this live stream and I want to really go through what the failures were of this stop, what the failures of the police were, and then actually get into the case itself